2 on the Tranche 2 AML Counter-Terrorism Funding Reforms 2026. This session is being recorded. My name is Craig Sharp. I'm General Counsel here at Kinatico. Today's session is intended to run for about 30 minutes. We should be giving you a clear, practical picture of what the reforms mean for your business and what it is you need to do right now. While I'm presenting, if you have any questions along the way, please feel free to drop those questions into the Q&A panel, which you should find at the bottom of your screen if your Zoom page works the same way as mine. And at the end, I will set aside some time to answer those questions. And if there are any other questions that occur to you afterwards, then feel free to follow up with us directly anytime after the session. Tom, if you want to move to the next slide, please. Just before we begin the presentation properly, I'd like to take time to acknowledge the traditional owners of the many lands on which we meet here today. Me personally, I come to you from the beautiful lands of the Whadjuk Noongar people. I pay my respects to their elders, past and present. So let's begin. Next slide. Thanks. So what we're going to cover today, we're going to walk through why these reforms are happening, because we should always start with the why. We should be identifying who's going to be affected, if you are affected, what it is you must do, and what the deadlines are for those requirements. We'll touch on the consequences of non-compliance, and very importantly, we will also deal with how Kinatico can help in these situations. This session is deliberately practical, and although I am a lawyer, I'm not here to give you legal advice. It's a condition of my practicing certificate that I can't give you legal advice. I can only give it to the company I'm working for. And we recognise, of course, that there's going to be people in the audience here today who are further along their journey than others. We've kept that in mind, and this presentation is intended to be useful whether you're starting from scratch or whether you're doing a final review of what your preparations are like. So let's begin with the why. If we go to the next slide, please, Tom. Why these reforms are happening. There's a big number down the left-hand side of that screen, $68.7 billion. That's not a number we've made up. That was the estimate provided by the Australian Institute of Criminology several years ago now, 2023. So it's not an abstract number. It's a serious and well-considered number that considers the cost of serious and organised crime in Australia. That includes proceeds of drug trafficking, fraud, corruption, all the bad money that flows through the financial system every year. That's important because it gives you a reason why AUSTRAC, the government department that's charged with implementing these reforms, why they take these reforms so seriously, and what the evil that they're trying to address. Since 2006, for the past 20 years, banks, credit unions, casinos, so the so-called Tranche 1 entities have all been covered by the counter-terrorism funding regime. But globally, the Global Financial Action Task Force, FATF, has consistently identified professional services, real estate agencies, other sectors as areas that are being used by global organised crime and areas in which Australia has been falling behind comparable jurisdictions around the world, including the UK, the EU, Canada, New Zealand. In all those countries, the Tranche 2 reforms or equivalent reforms to the Tranche 2 reforms have been in effect for some years. So Australia in that respect is catching up, if you like. So when these solutions expands to these new regimes, there's going to be approximately about 90,000 new businesses being caught by those entities, by these changes. So obviously this is the most significant change in the framework for the last 20 years. So who exactly is in those 90,000 entities? If we go to the next slide. We have a list on the screen. The main sectors are the real estate agents, which includes buyers agents and property developers, lawyers, conveyancers who are involved in property or business transactions, accountants providing certain financial or corporate services, dealers in precious metals, gems, jewelry, uh, trusts, providers of services to trusts and company services, and the last sector there is virtual asset providers, which includes cryptocurrencies and non-NFTs and the like. Before we move on, just pause on real estate professionals. That category is deliberately broad. It includes not just residential sales agents, but buyers agents and property developers. In broad terms, if your property business is involved in property transactions, you almost certainly fall within scope. For lawyers and accountants, obligations apply when you're providing what are termed designated services. So not every piece of work done by those firms will be captured, but transactional work, corporate structuring, trust administration typically will be. So if your firm provides a broad range of general services, it's likely you will need some compliance framework in place. If you're unsure, of course, you should seek specific legal or professional advice about whether your services are captured. Finally, at the bottom of the slide there, we've noted a broad range of businesses, banks, remittance providers, casinos have been under obligations for some time. Those obligations for those entities are changing slightly, but that's not the focus of today's webinar. If we go to the next slide, please, Tom. So, what it is you actually need to do. There are 8 core obligations to hurry up on the slide. We'll take you through each of them briefly. First and most important is enroll with AUSTRAC. Enrollment opened back on 31 March. There's a deadline to enroll by 29 July, but you should aim to be enrolled before 1 July, which is looming large in the calendar. So to enroll, we simply go to austrac.gov.au, follow the friendly prompts. The system's set up there to guide you through in the enrollment process. Secondly, you need a risk assessment. You need a documented assessment of your money laundering, terrorism financing, and proliferation financing risks that are specific to your business. This doesn't mean just simply adopting a generic template. There's an expectation that it reflects the nature of your clients' products and geographies, but at the same time, there's no compulsion to go spend tens of thousands of dollars on an expert getting it. As long as you have provided your considered attention to your business and how the risks apply to your business, that will pass muster. You need an AML/CTF program. Based on your risk assessment, you have to develop and maintain a written program that is just documenting the policies, procedures, systems and controls your business will use to manage those risks. And by 1 July, this should be in place and operational. Again, similar sort of rules apply. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it needs to have steps in that, and you need to have demonstrated some consideration to your business and the risks involved. Compliance officer, you need to appoint your compliance officer. That compliance officer must be an Australian resident. They must meet the AUSTRAC fit and proper requirements, which we'll get to shortly. And you have to notify AUSTRAC of the appointment by 29 July. personnel due diligence that involves screening staff who will perform your anti-money laundering functions. You must screen them before your appointment, and they must be screened on an ongoing basis, which again is up to you, maybe every year, maybe every couple of years. We'll look at this one on detail on the next slide because it's one of the most operationally complex obligations. Then you need customer due diligence. You must verify customer identity when you're bringing your customers on. You must maintain verification on an ongoing basis. There are enhanced measures that need to apply for higher risk customers. And transaction reporting. So you need to report cash transactions that are worth more than $10,000, or any suspicious matters. Those together, they need to be reported up to AUSTRAC. And then record keeping. You must maintain all the records relating to your compliance program for at least a period of 7 years. So if we go next to the personnel due diligence specifically, we'll take a little bit of a deeper dive on that. Next slide, please, Tom. Personnel due diligence applies to anyone in your business who's performing the anti-money laundering function. That includes the governance roles, the senior managers, executives who are overseeing the process, as well as the operational roles, which is the people actually screening other people and documenting the various transactions. Before your appointment of those people, you need to verify their identity, confirm their employment history and their various qualifications, obtain written references, conduct character and background verifications, and for most roles, police verification is a baseline. If you want to conduct an integrity assessment, you need to go further. Those includes anti-money laundering screening against international lists and adverse media. For roles with financial access, bankruptcy and credit history verifications are recommended to help identify undisclosed financial pressures that could present a risk. Then you need to, once done, you need to keep, it's not just once done and dusted and done and forgot. You need a process to have reassessment on a regular basis. You've got to regularly assess people in the relevant roles. And the frequency and depth of that reassessment should be proportionate to the risk level in each role. And then obviously, of course, you need a mechanism for triggering reviews, such as when an employee's circumstances may change, or whether an existing employee changes a role within your business, they may need to be rescreened in line with the higher duties and higher requirements. And then finally, you need an audit trail requirement. AUSTRAC expects you to be able to produce documented evidence of all of these activities on request. Just simply having a spreadsheet with a column for yes, no is unlikely to be sufficient. You need a system that records what was being done, by when, by whom, and then what that result was. Then if we talk about timing, go to the next slide, please, Tom. When does all this need to be done by? Most of this slide, as you'll see, half of this slide is looking backwards. Enrollment opened on 31 March for Tranche 2 entities, and then new obligations commenced. The VASP obligations commenced at that time, which is virtual asset service provider. As I said, that's organizations that deal with cryptocurrencies, NFTs, governance tokens, and so forth. There's a strong recommendation that by 1 May, the program should have been drafted and in preparation. If you haven't started your preparing your program, you need to give it urgent attention now. Obligations kick in on 1 July. By this date, you should have enrolled, should have your program in place, and you should be operationally compliant from that date. And then 29 July is the formal enrollment and compliance officer notification deadline. But as we've just said, that don't leave everything to that date. That's risky. You need to start preparations now. Today is 25 June. The commencement date's looming. That final deadline is just over a month away. AUSTRAC has indicated it will take a pragmatic approach to rolling out these new obligations to various entities, but that goodwill will naturally have limits. If we go to the next slide, please, Tom. Consequences of non-compliance. It has to be said that AUSTRAC has significant enforcement powers. As I said at the outset, this is a significant issue that the government and AUSTRAC are trying to address. They're not dealing with a hypothetical situation. They have in the past pursued major enforcement actions against large financial institutions. Penalties of hundreds of millions of dollars have been handed out to some of those institutions. Civil penalties can be substantial. Individuals can face penalties in hundreds of thousands of dollars. Corporate penalties can be far higher. And AUSTRAC can also seek infringement notices for lower level contributions. Criminal prosecution is a possibility, although it is reserved for serious or willful non-compliance. Officers and directors can face personal liability. I've got to say that for newly regulated entities, AUSTRAC's unlikely to pursue criminal action for good faith efforts that fall short, but deliberate non-compliance is a different matter. Enforceable undertakings are a middle path that AUSTRAC sometimes take, which effectively is a contract between AUSTRAC and you, requiring remedial action to avoid the prospect of prosecution. In practice, this is not a soft outcome. It comes with continuing obligations and considerable costs. For real estate professionals, for example, non-compliance with AUSTRAC's obligations could impact licensing status. That's a sector-specific risk that needs attention. And obviously with any of these issues, any enforcement regime, reputational damage is always increasingly significant. AUSTRAC publishes lists of its enforcement actions. Those will be monitored by media organisations around the country. For any business, whether it's a real estate agent, a law firm, or accounting practice, public trust is, of course, hugely significant for us all. Public AUSTRAC sanction creates serious reputational risk with clients, referral networks, and professional bodies. Well worth avoiding. Well, I should mention before I leave all this slide that despite all the thunder and drama, AUSTRAC has publicly stated that it will support newly regulated entities and take a pragmatic approach during this transition period when these tranches this tranche takes effect. But even so, early genuine preparation is the best protection in all cases. So if we go to the next slide, please, Tom. I'm told, I'm getting a message from in the chat, there may be an issue with the screen. I hope that's being rectified. I can see the screen here. Oh, we're all good now. Get my notes up to speed. We're compliance. Sorry, let me start again. We're on this slide. Many obligations, many businesses we speak with understand their legal obligations reasonably well. What they struggle with is operationalizing them, building the systems and processes and the habits that make compliance happen every day, not just at review time. What we've called the manual compliance trap is very real. When compliance is managed through spreadsheets and email inboxes, things get missed. Um, Deadlines for repeat actions or rescreening slip. We find that audit trails go missing or they're incomplete. And ultimately, principals, executives, managers lack the real-time visibility of where things stand across their teams or their business branches or their business. It's important to think about what AUSTRAC will look at if they come knocking at your door. They're not going to just ask, well, do you have a written program? Can I see your policy? They'll want to see evidence that the policy is operating in practice. That means audit trails, training records, logs of what's been done, records of what's been done, what declarations have been made and accepted. Good compliance feels like a professional, repeatable system. What you want is one platform that tracks all personal verifications and activities, automated reminders for renewals, provides a dashboard that shows you what's current, what isn't, where gaps are, what actions need to be taken. And you want a system that can produce records to a regulator on short notice. So ultimately, this is where technology in today's world becomes essential, not as a nice to have, but as the practical infrastructure that makes compliance manageable and auditable at scale. Which brings me, funnily enough, to Kinatico and how we can help. Next slide, Tom. Kinatico has two products that can directly support your anti-money laundering, counter-terrorism funding compliance obligations, particularly around personnel due diligence and ongoing monitoring. First, Kinatico Compliance is our people compliance management platform. It's a platform designed for organizations that want to manage the full people compliance lifecycle in a single system. Specifically for anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism funding, the key capabilities are an automated monthly AML monitoring, screening people against and anti-money laundering, counter-terrorism, and PEP databases, and alerting you to changes. We can offer recurring police verifications on a regular cadence, providing a secure audit trail that gives AUSTRAC ready documentation of every compliance activity. There's a custom activity builder for policy acknowledgements, training and completion, and annual declarations that, as the name says, can be customized for the forms and processes that your business has. There's a real-time dashboard reporting so that you know the compliance status of your people at any moment. And a mobile-first experience so your people can complete activities from wherever they are. Parallel, Kinatico CV Check is a well-established background screening service. Australia's preeminent background screening brand, conducting over 700,000 verifications annually. If you simply need individual or on-demand screenings rather than a full platform, the CV Check system provides anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism funding verifications, can provide national police verification checks or criminal history verifications through ACIC accredited service, and can provide financial and credit history verifications in a single, fast, accurate, centralized solution. So, putting it simply, Kinatico gives organizations trusted, verified answers about their people without those people needing to hold the sensitive data themselves. Kinatico Compliance is the tool for organizations that want to manage ongoing compliance as an operational workflow. Kinatico CV Check is the tool for organizations that need fast, accurate verifications on demand. Both of these solutions are available now. We're happy to discuss your specific situation after the session. Now, before we finish, let's run through the quick self-assessment checklist we've prepared. So there's 10 questions on the slide. I won't read through them all. They're designed as a quick self-assessment. You don't need to even answer them right now, but we are encouraging you to work through them with your team within the next few days. These questions map directly to your core obligations. And if you answer yes to all 10 with confidence and you have evidence to back it up, then you're in a strong position for 1 July. If there are gaps, and for many businesses there will be gaps, these questions should point you in exactly where you need to focus your efforts. We're going to make this checklist available to all attendees. It's a useful starting point for board and principal level conversations about our readiness. And then let me finish with a few final thoughts. So our key takeaways, the key message is that these reforms are significant. They represent a permanent shift in how compliance works, professional services and real estate businesses. The obligations are broad, the deadlines are real and imminent, and the consequences of non-compliance are serious. However, the situation is still manageable. Businesses that start, even at this late stage, build the right systems and treat compliance as an ongoing operational rhythm rather than a one-time legal exercise will find that this becomes part of normal practice rather than a continuing source of disruption. The 5 takeaways on this slide are worth sharing with the principals of your business, the directors of your business, or your compliance team. The most important is the 3rd point. If you haven't started yet, start now. Kinatico is genuinely here to help. Whether you want to talk through our products, get a demonstration of Kinatico Compliance, or simply ask questions about your specific situation, please reach out. Thank you for your time today. I've got a couple of minutes left for some questions. Let me just check. I have a couple of questions online have come through. Is Kinatico Compliance a specialized anti-money laundering platform? The frank answer to that is no. Kinatico Compliance is a general purpose tool that helps manage compliance generally across your business, not just AML. It covers everything from pre-employment screening through to managing psychosocial workplace safety obligations, through to updating your finance team's credit card policy. As well, Kinatico Compliance can, as well as all those things, Kinatico Compliance can also help you to manage some of your obligations under these Tranche 2 reforms. The next question, could Kinatico assist firms beyond their personnel due diligence needs and provide the AML checks required for customer due diligence requirements? So, sorry, the answer to that is yes. Kinatico CV check allows an AML check to be run on anyone that you choose to invite to share the result with you. That person could be an employee or a contractor or even a customer of the business. Its system works, the individual sets up their own account and shares the result. So as long as they know what you are seeking and they agree to provide that, then we can certainly assist. There's no requirement for an employment relationship between you and a applicant using Kinatico CV check. I said half an hour and we've got to half an hour and that was the final question. So thank you all for your time and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.